Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Before I get the ball rolling on this one, I just want to say that this is going to be another video where I talk about two books. I wanted to talk about these individually, but I thought that both these videos would be very short for each of these books. Sorry, I've just come back from work. So I thought I would just combine these two books together into one video. So, they don't really have a theme apart from being mangas, but they are Black Knight Parade, Volume 1, and Mimi's Tales of Terror by Junji Ito. And the original stories are from these guys here. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names because I will butcher them. So before I get into this video, I just want to say, as usual, this is going to be a spoiler-free video on both of these books. And these are going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding both these books. So let's start off with Black Knight Parade. This is a Christmas manga. I thought that this was a brand new thing for this year, but apparently there are about 5 volumes of this out right now. And yeah, I just love the cover. It's like this evil Santa Claus thing, and the cover just drew me in. And I usually don't read stuff like this. I wouldn't call this mainstream manga, but this is kind of on the border of mainstream manga and horror stuff. It's not completely horrific. It's not like Junji Ito, which I'll get to him in a minute. But it is very dark and yeah. I mean, it knows when to be dark, it knows when to be heartwarming and nice and all that stuff. So this revolves around our main character, which I can't say his name, but it revolves around a young boy who is working at a department store, like a supermarket type of thing. And he's always saying that he wants to find a job, and I'm like, you already have a job. But he wants to, I think he wants to leave his job. I think he's not satisfied with his workplace and he wants to move on. I think that's what it means. By the end of his shift, his boss says that there's all these like food items that have expired. Just chuck them away because we can't sell them anymore, obviously. And then he decides to steal a slightly out of date Christmas cake. And as a result of that, he comes across this fine gentleman here, who is not Krampus and he's not Santa Claus. He is a kind of a so-called evil version of Santa. He is a black Santa Claus. And what I mean by that is his suit is black instead of being red. He has a kind of a scarf covering his face, and you never see his face. You never know what he looks like. You don't know if he's human or even if he's real, and because you never see his face, he's always like in darkness. But he does have certain magical abilities and powers. He has a sack that talks and like eats you, and it has all these like fangs and sharp teeth in it, can like speak, and it can talk, and obviously it can eat people. So he soon discovers that he has been taken by this black Santa Claus to work for him, because the whole point of this black Santa Claus is that he takes bad children to his kind of workshop as a kind of a penance for being bad. To make up for them being bad, they've got to make up with all this time being served. And what they do there is exactly like Santa. They deliver presents. At first they say that they deliver coal and all this other stuff, all this not nice stuff to young children. But then we discover that they purposely investigate about what will disappoint the child more. Like if they ask for a video game, for example, then they will give them the most, like stupid video game ever. And the whole point of doing that is to make them really disappointed. So the more they are disappointed, these children are disappointed in their presents, the better outcome and the more better it is for them, because they want to like punish all these bad children. They never punish all these good children. They always punish the bad children by sending them these bad presents that they don't want. And how they do this is they have this kind of machine which fits over their heads, and it's kind of like a virtual reality type of simulator, but they become the child, and on Christmas Day when they get the present. So as I was saying, the whole point of them having this kind of VR headset device on attached to them is that they have to feel the disappointment of this child. It's because they can't be just a little bit disappointed and say, well, it's not what I wanted, but I might like it. They have to feel crushed and disappointed, and that's what their punishment should be for this little child. But this headset doesn't just let these individuals see what this child sees. It makes them feel what this child is feeling emotionally. And the more disappointed that this child is, the better it is for them. So our character makes some friends along the way, as well as a kind of a unusual character called Mr. Hat, who is more or less like a sentient Christmas hat. And he has all these kind of little minions with him as well, and he's bigger than them. And this is how the presents are made. And that is falling from where you think it's falling. The evil Santa, or the Black Santa, isn't really Krampus. It might be implied that it is Krampus, and Krampus is kind of nudged that in this book. But I really like this. I can't wait to read the other volumes next Christmas, because this is something that you have to read during Christmas time. But I loved it, and I am going to rate it a 5 stars. Let me know, have you read this, or if I've maybe encouraged you or inspired you to read this. So yeah, Black Knight Parade, I really liked it and I really enjoyed it. And next we have is Mimi's Tales of Terror. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but that's what I'm going to say in this video. This is by Junji Ito. This isn't original stories by Junji Ito, but it's adapted by Junji Ito. The original stories were written by these two individuals, and let me just see. These were urban legends in Japanese culture. So all the stories kind of revolve around Mimi, who is our main character, our main heroine, our main everything. All these stories are kind of separate from each other, but in a few stories, Mimi kind of refers to their weird and horrific experiences in the past, what's happened with her and her friends, but she doesn't really go into detail. But I'm kind of led to believe that all these stories are connected, but you could think of all of them as separate from each other. Why do they revolve around Mimi? I don't know. Why not, I suppose. If you've read anything by Junji Ito, you know what you're getting into, you know what his style is, you know what you're getting yourself in for, and his stuff isn't really for the faint of heart. It can be horrific, it can be a bit gory and disgusting at times. It does touch on elements which aren't really talked about in books nowadays. I love his stuff. If you are if you're a fan of horror and you haven't read anything by Junji, then I feel that you can't really be a horror fan unless you've read at least one thing by this guy. So all these stories, let me just go through them. We have one which tells the tale rather, sorry, of a old woman who jumps from a telephone pole onto a car, and she looks all dead and decayed. We have a story where Mimi's living next to a noisy neighbor, and there is this strange woman that lives next to her, and this woman's more than what she appears to be. We have a story where she goes walking in the forest with her friends, and she discovers this woman that has sadly no longer with us. If you know this story, if you know the real life forest in Japan, you know what I'm talking about. We have a story where she's living next to a cemetery and all the graves suddenly turn and face her, and we find out why that is. I'm not going to say why that's happened or how it's happened, but it is very creepy when you find out why this is happening. We have a story about all these dead people rising and coming out of the ocean, and this strange girl that sees all the people that have died in this ocean, and she can portray all these images into somebody's mind and drive them insane and crazy. We have a woman who tragically passed away, and her spirit is haunting her daughter, but because her spirit has come back not looking at all human, it comes across like a monster. We have a story where there's this mysterious room that's got no windows and or doors that has been found at the bottom of this old house, and it has this strange red circle on the wall, and this shape can somehow absorb people. Yeah, and it doesn't sound terrifying, but yeah, it is a really good story. And we have one where she kind of sees this strange figure that's coming out of, or this strange shadow figure rather, coming out of this sign. That one was very short. And then we have an afterword by Junji, which he does quite often in his books, where he talks about his work and his ideas. And then we have a kind of a bonus story that isn't about Mimi, or I don't think it references her at all. But it has this kind of strange door, and there's all this stuff coming out underneath it. Sometimes in this you do get these coloured pictures, but most of the time it's always in black and white. To be honest, I wouldn't really care if it was all in colour. I mean, I love it when it's all in black and white. But this strange stuff that comes out of this door is more than what it appears to be. So I really like this book. I really loved it. I could read anything by Junji, and I mean, the guy could write a romance book and I would buy it and I would love it. He could write anything and publish anything and I would love it and I would buy it. Yeah, some of his stuff is better than others. That's a given for any author out there. But would I recommend this to a newbie to Junji? Probably the best way of getting into his work is to read a short story collection or one of his smaller books. But yeah, why not? This is a good start to read from Junji. Probably read one of his other short story collections, like Fragments of Horror. That's one I would recommend. But yeah, not sure why Mimi was the main focus of this. As I said, why not? She's a really great character and a really sweet character, and this is kind of a standard how Junji 2 draws his females, is that all slim and like a doll like face and long hair, and yeah, but I really like this, and I would recommend it to any fan of horror. And if you've read anything by Junji 2 and you haven't got to this, then why not? This is great. I'm gonna give this a 5 stars out of 5. Let me know if you've read this. Let me know what did you think about it, and if you haven't read it, let me know if I've maybe inspired you to pick it up and give it a try. So guys, that has been my video for both Mimi's Tales of Terror and Black Knight Parade. Hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting. Hopefully this video isn't too long. I wanted to put these into one video because I felt that if I did videos on these separately, they would be very short. But hopefully you found this somewhat interesting and entertaining as always. I know that mangas aren't usually super popular on BookTube, but yeah, I like doing videos on what I like. And I mean, I'm a fan of mangas, mostly horror stuff. But let me know if you read any mangas, any horror mangas. I know that Junji Ito's the main guy for horror mangas, but let me know if there are any others that I've missed and I should check out. So yeah, thank you for watching my video, guys, and I'll see you in my next one.